Welcome to MHA Offices. I'm Jennifer Smith, and this is Brad and Eric with Last Architects, and we are here this morning to talk about the park project. So, welcome, Brad and Eric.
Yeah, thank you.
It's great to have you here. Tell me what it is that you guys feel individually, each of you. How do you see the uniqueness of this project?
It's been really amazing, to get to be a part of the project. I think for me, one of the most unique aspects that I've got a lot of inspiration from is that the park really is a gateway to some of the natural beauty that is Payson. And the park kind of serving as not only a park, but as a trailhead in its own right to bring the community, bring visitors into the beautiful landscape. Because,
Definitely.
One of the things we get inspiration from and talk about all the time is that Arizona is such a diverse ecosystem. We drove an hour to get here, and all of a sudden we're in pine forest.
Isn't that crazy?
We live in the desert.
Yeah.
And so
you come up over that hill,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden you're in the mountains.
Totally.
Yeah.
And so for this park, not only to have all of the great amenities, but to also serve as a mechanism to bring people into that landscape is something that I've always thought was really unique and really amazing for the park.
It's always been very intentional too. We have, going from west to east, it goes from, the parking lot and the main reception area to the active recreation and then transitioning into passive recreation. And so I think what you're experiencing is very definitely what's always been in our hearts, that we want this to feel like it's of place.
Yep.
When you are there, you are in the woods. And it's like this park is just here. And so I think that's awesome that you define that as one of your...
Yeah, I mean, I could imagine a situation if you started on the South Trail and you happen to just come out at Granite Dells Park.
Right.
And there's a football game going on and the community is there. I mean, what an amazing
How cool.
experience, right?
Yeah.
To start with something that's very... personal and experiencing nature, and then coming into this huge community event and just like you said, stumbling across it. It will be a really amazing experience for those people who have it.
And then the other thing we've been thinking about is the unique identity from the historical point of view of Payson. So bringing in that specificity of the materials from the early pioneering years, and then, like you had mentioned the first time we met with you, that you wanted it to always look like it has been here, that it's always been here. And so the materials we're using will age well, but they'll also add to that patina of character that I think really is rich here in Payson versus other areas.
Even like those rock facades that still have the lichen attached. That was very intentional. It's not that we, got a discount because they weren't cleaned. We actually paid a premium to have the lichen still attached. Yeah. It's a premium product.
It's those clean rocks that'll...
Yeah. Right? Exactly. So, Eric, let's start with you on this one. What are some of the features that you're most excited about at the park?
So there's a few, but I'll talk about, I think from a macro point of view, the experience that's created by the features. I think what I'm most excited about is the intangible moments that are created from a lot of the elements. So immediately coming into the park, we see the concessions and we see the sign, and that's all great. But it's really not until you descend down to the lake and remove yourself from the parking, remove yourself from the noise of the fields, where you're really able to capture the uniqueness of this place.
Yeah.
And I think what most people don't realize is how much work it actually takes to create a place like that. They think it's natural, and it is.
Yeah.
But to create an intangible part of this park, incredibly difficult. And I would just say that descent on the experience and able to come together at what will be the amphitheater is my favorite piece of this park, because it's really unlike any other place. And it's one of these kinds of places that, as a design professional, you really can't design and have all these moments in.
Yeah.
You prepare it, and you overthink it, and you over-prepare. But it becomes that place when people inhabit it.
Nature really kind of created it for us through just by embracing the grades that are held within the park and the topography that was naturally there. It created that. We just sort of helped facilitate a way for people to enjoy that. And I think just being, connected with it and really letting nature speak to us as we're in the design phases, I think that's part of what created that. And I love that you brought that up, because that's actually my favorite part too, that when you get down to the lake and you look around and you really cannot even tell that you're in a town. anymore. There isn't any hustle and bustle, and what I love most about that for me is, even somebody who's in a wheelchair can have that same experience. And very rarely can somebody who has any sort of mobility challenges have those types of nature experiences because of the natural limitations. And so it's really exciting to me to see how that plays out once we open the park to the public. Yeah. How about you, Brad?
So, it's hard to follow up once you've said that that's your favorite part as well.
Sorry.
But there is something that, yes, I do think there's an amazing efficiency with the park. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a lot of variety for, we're talking about accessibility, but people have different interests, different needs. Mm-hmm. And so the amazing variety that is in the footprint of the park and still offering that relief to go from a softball game to a pickleball game to a sand volleyball to football to soccer. Yeah. All of those amenities, and then to still be able to have these moments where you can kind of sink away into the lake area, which, by the way, is also an amphitheater. And so there's an amazing amount of variety, which I find interesting, given the footprint of the park.
Part of that, too, is really intentional, as you're very well aware. Yeah. Even the streams were engineered to have different experiences along the way. So the water doesn't behave the same way in all parts of the streams, with that whole idea that you can go to the park on 2 different days and have very different experiences. You can bring the same ham sandwich, you can bring the same blanket, and you can sit at a different part of the stream, and it's going to look very different. Same thing is true for folks that go there to get married, or kids that come out on prom night and they want pictures. If you take a picture a certain way, you'll see a really a busy stream, if you will, with lots of turbulence in the water. And if you take it facing the exact opposite direction, it'll be calm and smooth. And so I think that's really important because we know that people are going to be having major life events at the park. They're going to go for prom. They're going to go and get married there. They're going to get engaged there. They're going to, take kids there for their first birthday and all of these things. And I think that that's so important that, it's not just a flat area that's got a hole in the ground. It looks the same no matter where you're at in the park. You don't know if you're in the North Ramada or in the South Ramada. So I think that is such an important thing that you articulated, Brad, that it's very meaningful.
Yeah.
So in your vision, Brad, how could a project like Granite Dells Park shape the future of Payson's local community, and extrapolate that, if you will, and maybe this is something where you guys can just dialogue on this instead of having, differing viewpoints or whatever, but economic development from that. So how do you see this playing into, it's not just a place to go have a picnic. What does this mean broadly for the community?
I think for us and our practice, a word that has come into the office from our clients is this word catalyst. We've worked on other public infrastructure park projects where there is this notion of placemaking. We talked about placemaking, but serving placemaking for the greater good of the economy of the local community. And so I think I can see Granite Dells doing that very powerfully.
Certainly.
Again, we've talked about this. We've talked about tournaments. We've talked about shows. We've talked about fishing. We've talked about
absolutely
all of those things. And so I can only imagine, and I'm not an economist, so I am projecting outside of my expertise, but that it's only going to bring more interest and more activity to Payson.
Yeah.
And what that means in terms of overall economic output, I can only imagine. But some great restaurants are going to show up. Some great commercial areas are probably going to be
definitely
coming your way.
Yeah.
And, those things that support those types of events are inevitable.
Absolutely. One of the things that I can envision happening is, even just thinking down to like a second grade field trip. So somebody in East Mesa wants to come to Payson to bring their second grade class up, and they find out about Granite Dells Park, and they find out that there's all of these animals that are hidden in all of the stonework throughout the park, and just creating basically it would be a primary education science trip to go find all of the animals on a scavenger hunt through the park. So they would get activity, it would be like PE, it would be, biology, it would be so fun. I can already see like the piece of paper or the the things you have to check off and find, and I can envision the kids running around the park, and even that's economic development. It's bringing people to Payson to enjoy what we have, and they're going to stay here, and they're going to bring their resources here, and then the kids are going to have a great experience here, so they're going to want to come back, and they're going to tell their parents about it, and so it's a cycle, and I love that word catalyst because it ignites something new that wasn't previously there.
And can we just do a quick plug for making scavenger hunts for adults as well? Like, that sounds fun. I want to go find all the animals.
Yes,
stuff.
absolutely.
Even though I know a lot of them already, I'm sure I've missed some.
I probably have too, because there's some that were put into the park that I don't even know about
Well,
yet.
we have our marching orders.
Exactly. There you go.
And I think you hit it right there with wanting to come back, right? The best public projects that are placed on sites are the ones that people want to come back to 15, 20 years from now.
Yeah.
I think a park is usually a place where, if it's successfully done, you'll want to come back to. But in terms of the varying experiences that we're curating here, I think people will be able to come back for a myriad of activities, which I think is the most important part about this project, that it's not just about a lake or a football game, that you can have all of it in one spot.
Sure.
And then in terms of what you're doing here for the community, I think a healthy community is a great community, right? And so you're creating an option for people to come and gather and connect, but under this umbrella of health and wellness, that really a project like this serves as a catalyst for people on their own journey of creating healthy community and health within themselves and their family, but also because it's accessible to all, that you can bring all generations to the park, where it's not just about the 40-year-old, 50-year-old, and 6-year-old.
Right.
It's about everyone.
Yeah, and everybody in between. So, well, thank you. If you keep going on about us like that, I'm going to probably start blushing. So,
Blush away.
thanks, guys. I appreciate you coming to talk to us today.
Sure, it was a blast.
And to circle back on Eric's comment about coming back, we will definitely be back at this table to talk more about the park in the future. So,
We look forward to it.